It's been over 2 decades since Danny Boyle changed the zombie world with 28 Days Later, followed by 28 Weeks Later, which turned up the chaos.
Stop! Help us! Stop!
And now, after years of silence, we finally get 28 years later. But with so many zombie films filling up our screens, from Train to Busan to World War Z, and series like The Last of Us and The Walking Dead, what new story is left to see? Well, apparently a lot, but not all of it makes sense. While there are definitely some epic moments and cool new concept, this movie also left me scratching my head more than once. So today, we're breaking down the biggest questions 28 years later forgot to answer or just didn't bother to explain. Why did Isla kill herself so suddenly? Let's start with Isla, the heart of the story. Spike's mother, played beautifully by Jodie Comer. She's sick, not from the range virus, but from cancer. When Dr. Kelson gives her the terminal diagnosis, she immediately chooses to end her life. No hesitation, no goodbye plan, just plain hug. And then, gone. But why? Can she not just stay until she dies? Is she not worried about leaving Spike behind? What's the deal with the alpha zombies? Now, this was wild. Out of nowhere, we're introduced to a terrifying new infected, towering, muscular beast, straight out of an anime like Attack on Titans. They're fast, they're brutal, and they don't mess around. But here's the problem. We're never told how they came to exist. There's no explanation, no origin story, no background. Did the range virus change somehow? Were these advanced infected the result of a failed experiment? Or are they just infected people who evolved over time?
Half of you.
And how did the infected woman give birth? Okay, let's talk about one of the weirdest moments in the entire film. A range-infected woman gives birth to a healthy baby. The infected are supposed to be mindless, feral, and incapable of normal function. So how exactly did this happen? In 28 years later, Britain's still under quarantine, completely cut off from the world. A small island of Scottish coast is home to uninfected survivors, living like it's the 1800s. No electricity, no tech, just farming, fishing, and infected hunting rites of passage. Young Spike, just 12 years old, is forced into one of these brutal rituals by his father, Jamie, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Armed with a bow, he must kill an infected to prove himself. These aren't just fast infected anymore. They evolve into massive alphas and creepy worm-eating slow crawlers. Meanwhile, Spike's mom, Isla, played by Jodie Comer, is dying from a mysterious illness. Desperate to save her, Spike sneaks her to the mainland in search of a rumored doctor who survived the virus. Along the way, they meet a stranded Swedish soldier, face off against more evolved infected, and finally reach Dr. Kelson, played by Ralph Fiennes, a strange iodine-covered genius who might hold the key to survival. After his mother's death, Spike makes a quick stop at the Holy Island to leave the baby with his father, along with a note explaining her origins and his decision to go off on his own. It feels like 28 years later is ending as Spike sets out alone across the mainland. But there's one last surprise. A sudden, tonal shocking epilogue teases the next chapter. 28 years later, the Bone Temple. Why did Isla end her life so suddenly? At first, it seems abrupt, almost confusing, but once you look closer, it hits hard and makes total sense. From the moment Isla appears on screen, we know something's off. She's weak, she's bleeding, she's drifting in and out, like her body's already halfway gone. When she and Spike finally find Dr. Kelson, he confirms what many of us were already suspecting. Isla has cancer, and it's terminal. No treatment, no time left. Just pure pain. But here's what really makes this moment hit. This isn't just about the illness, it's about exhaustion. Isla has spent nearly 30 years surviving a nightmare world, losing people, fighting to protect her son, never knowing if tomorrow will even come. So when she hears a diagnosis, it's not fear that takes over, it's relief. She's finally allowed to stop running, stop fighting, and for the first time in years, just rest. To make sure Spike won't stop her, she has Kelson sedate him. Then, in one final heartbreaking moment, she hugs her son goodbye and chooses peace over pain. Her skull is seen later as part of Kelson's bone statues, a disturbing image, but maybe also a tribute, a reminder that behind every death in the world was a lifetime of struggle. Did Isla make the right choice? Or was there another way out? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on this. What's going on with the new alpha zombies in 20 years later? Because these things aren't just infected. There's something way more terrifying. They're faster, they're stronger, and they're nothing like what we saw in 20 days later or 20 weeks later. So what exactly are they? These alphas are a mutated form of the range infected. Bigger, more muscular, and almost beast-like in how they move and attack. It's like if the original infected went full-on predator mode. Imagine the raw speed and aggression from the early films, but now packed into body-built like tank. These aren't ordinary infected humans. They are the apex predators of the range virus world. One theory, viral evolution. It's been almost 30 years. Just like real viruses mutate in the real world, maybe the range virus adapted, producing stronger, more durable hosts. Or maybe it's survival of the fittest. The virus burns out quickly in most people, but what if a few hosts lasted longer, got stronger? Over time, they could have evolved into something far more monstrous. And then there's a wild card, Dr. Kelson. This guy is living among the infected, clearly up to something shady. Is it possible that the alphas are the result of a twisted experiments gone wrong, or maybe exactly as planned? There's still so much we don't know, but these new infections raise the stakes like never before. How was the infected baby in 20 years later even created? Is one of the most unsettling and intriguing mysteries in the film, and it might reveal something terrifying about how the range virus has evolved. There are two main theories here, and honestly, neither of them is comforting. First, the woman was already pregnant before she got infected. On paper, that might sound like the less disturbing explanation, but when you really look at her appearance, her behavior, she doesn't look like someone recently infected. She's weathered, worn, and clearly been roaming for a long time, just like most of the long-term infected. So that brings us to a darker and honestly most likely possibility. The infected has started to reproduce. Yeah, let that sink in. For over 2 decades, the range infected have been portrayed as mindless monsters driven by violence, not instincts like mating or protection. But now, we've seen something different, and it changes everything. The alphas aren't your average infected. They're stronger, faster, and most disturbingly, smarter. They wait. They plan. They lead the other infected. So it's not far-fetched to think one of them, likely an alpha, fathered the baby. And here's where it gets wild. Remember the train scene? After the alpha kills Eric, it passes over the body of the infected woman, the presumed mother, and for just a moment, it doesn't look like a mindless killer. It almost seems like he is mourning. Then it locks eyes on Isla, Spike, and the baby, and explodes into ranged. But what if that range isn't just mindless fury? What if it's grief? What if the alpha wants the child back because he's the father? This single moment suggests something we've never truly seen in an infected: emotional connection. Maybe even love? That's a horrifying thought, because if the alphas are evolving emotionally while staying just as brutal, the line between monster and man is getting dangerously blurry. So what do you think? Is the alpha really the baby's father? Are we witnessing a terrifying new phase of the range virus? I didn't think I'd say this, but 20 years later might just be better than 28 weeks later. It's got a fresher vibe, a sharper writing, and a few scenes that really stuck with me. But it didn't exactly blow me away. I was waiting for that rush, that full-blown, heart-pounding chaos that 20 days later nailed. That moment when you're gripping your seat, yelling at the screen, It never fully arrived. It's not the loudest entry in the series, but it might just be the most human. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.